he published a book about his own experiences at the University of Mississippi, 3 years in Mississippi. So in 1967, I published The Man Who Cried I Am, trying to pull together all that had happened and would be happening. How much longer could the nation survive rampant racism? In that novel, I tried to show what very well could be, so it was a warning. Did the powers that be think we would accept this crap forever? When I turned in the manuscript, no one batted an eye at the King Alfred plan or anything else. In fact, the publisher created a 5-page promotion piece with that title. Of course, I had copies of the plan, but I trimmed the 2-inch purple strip, identifying it as part of the novel, and I thought I had it with me, but I left it. The 2-inch strip on the side said, The Man Who Cried I Am by John A. Williams, published by Little Brown. But it didn't work for me, and I cut that strip off, and I folded up some of these promo pieces and placed them in the seats of buses and subways and sat there watching people pick them up and read them. And by the time most of them finished reading the piece, their expressions had changed completely. For those who don't know, the plan revealed a detailed U.S. government scheme to terminate once and for all the minority threat to the whole of American society, indeed the free world. Also a map of the United States with numbered zones where people rounded up by government would be jailed. Strange things began to happen when the book came out and was reviewed. I once picked up the phone and heard a man talking on it. "Who are you?" "Repairman," said he. "Fixing the phones from the storm." "What storm?" I asked. Then, "Are you in the basement?" He said he was, and I rushed down there and was about to snatch the phone out of his hand and beat him with it. But he gave it to me. "What's this guy doing on my line?" I asked him to the phone. "Gee, I don't know. The storm." The voice on the other end said. And on one occasion, while my wife and son were out of town, and I was preparing for another trip, I came home and found all the lights in the apartment on. Whoever they were sure wanted me to know. What scanty material I had received through the Freedom of Information Act revealed that even though the CIA and the FBI thought the King Alfred plan was a hoax, they declared that it, quote, would have a serious effect on members of the Negro community. You all failed them. I didn't help myself when 3 years later I published The King God Didn't Save, in which I revealed that the FBI had bugged Martin Luther King's phones. That gave the FBI and the CIA more to chew on, more reason to suspect that I might know far more than I actually did. So, you know there is terror, and then there's terror. And everybody's talking about terror, and we have lived and to some extent still live with it. When our Secretary of State, a brother, cannot or will not attend an international conference against racism, that's more bad news. That's more than bad news. That's a disaster. And I think, and perhaps I always have, that a writer has no function as important as telling us about ourselves. You may not remember this, many of you, that we did not drop the A-bomb on Germany. We dropped 2 of them on Japan. Over the years, people have asked me if the plan was for real, and my answer usually has been, ask yourself that question. Thank you very much.
So I was in the barber shop the other day getting a haircut.